Today we'll talk about my new live performance rig. And note, don't expect modelers or the latest and greatest pedal. Before even putting a live performance rig together, I need to go over my needs for when I perform live. First, the guitar rig has to be stereo. Next, when I switch between different sounds, it needs to sound organic and natural. So reverb tails and delay echoes need to trail off naturally as I switch between sounds. The rig must incorporate keys because although I'm playing a lot of lead guitar and a lot of guitar melodies in my music, keys are an important part of my music making. I do some improvisation on keys and I play some leads on keys as well. Next, I need full remote control. I want to be able to, when I'm playing solo, I want remote control to start and stop tracks. That way I get the laptop sitting in the back so I don't have to look at it or depend on using the laptop. Next, I want to use a real amp. I don't want to use modelers. And on that note, that means I want real guitar cabs on stage. So I'm going to have 2 guitar cabs on stage because I don't want to monitor my guitar rig through the speaker wedges with the sound controlled by a monitoring or front of house engineer. And also this guitar rig must have access to a lot of different effects. All right, I know my needs, so let's go look at the gear. The main guitar I'm using is a Sir Super Strat style guitar. The guitar goes directly into the pedal board. So the brain of the pedal board is the G3 Atom pedal switcher. I absolutely love this thing because it not only switches pedals in and out, it also sends MIDI. Also on the board is the Strymon Compadre for compressed clean sounds as well as the dirty sounds. I do not use the Compadre for high gain sounds. More on that later. Next is the Digitech Ricochet for weird pitch shifting sounds. I love it. Then I also have the Digitech Freakout, which I love for creating sustained feedback. And I also have the TC Electronic Plethora X3. Right now I'm only using it for the sub and up octaver effect. It sounds great, but I know I'm not using the X3 to its full potential. There's also an expression pedal there that I use for volume control. And lastly, a tap tempo switch for the Eventide Eclipse. Now for the amplifier, I'm using the Mesa Mark V 25 little mini amplifier. Channel 1 is set for a clean sound, and that's where I use the Strymon Compadre for crystal clear clean sounds, as well as that mid-gain overdrive tone, which I use for improvising and for melodies on some of my songs. Then I use channel 2 on the Mark V for my high gain lead and melody sounds. The Mesa Mark V then goes into a Mesa Boogie load box. Then I take the dry sound out of the Mesa load box, and that goes into the rack for post-amp processing. So everything on the pedal board goes straight into the Mesa Boogie amplifier. At the top of the rack is the power conditioner. Next is the Matrix GT1000FX stereo amplifier. It's a solid state stereo amplifier. Then I have the Eventide Eclipse that right now it's being used for delays and reverb for my leads and melody sounds. I also have it with some reverse crystal delays when I do my cover of Tears in the Rain from Joe Satriani. Next is the Switchblade GL, which I use for mixing and switching the rack effects. And at the bottom is the killer Kurzweil KSP8. So the output of this rack is stereo. It's a mix of my dry guitar and the digital effects coming from the Eclipse and the KSP8. And that Matrix solid state amp powers up my 2 Mesa Boogie 1x12 speaker cabinets for a stereo sound. Now I know it may seem like there's a lot going on there, so let me run down the basics of how this rig works. The guitar goes through the pedal board. The G3 Atom goes ahead and switches the pedals on that pedal board in and out, and all of these pedals all go to the front end of my Mesa Boogie amplifier. Then the output of the Mesa Boogie amplifier goes into the rack for post-amplifier processing. And like I said, the output is a mix of my dry amp sound with the digital effects, and I have it mixed in stereo. Oh yes, where does the keyboard fit in all this? The keyboard I'm using is the Waldorf Blofeld, and I have that mixed into my guitar rig. So yeah, I do not have the Blofeld going directly to front of house. It's actually running through my guitar rig. And the output of the Blofeld is coming out through my 1x12 speaker cabinets. This just makes things simple. Once I've adjusted my Blofeld and guitar sound to be equal, I don't have to worry about the sound person making sure that I can hear my Blofeld over my guitar. I have complete control of the whole system. All right, so how does the rig sound? So let's listen to some short clips. Future William here. While we're editing this video, I forgot to mention the backing tracks and the remote control, so let's hit it really quick. The backing tracks are played through a custom version of Reaper, and it all goes through my Metric Halo Lio 8 interface, so I get 8 ins and outs. It's a little bit overkill for a solo show. However, when I expand to hiring other musicians to play with me, that's when it will really work, because I can have 8 outputs to mix all sorts of things together, so that can be really helpful. The remote control I thought was really fun. I am using the Elgato Stream Deck, and as you can see, all the songs I've put on each individual button, so the songs can be stopped and played at the press of a button. And I just put it on top of my Waldorf Blofeld. It's very convenient, easy to start and stop songs on a dime. So it does this through USB-C. I just thought this was a much easier and better way of doing it than remote controlling through MIDI. So, to each your own. Back to the video. All right, so some of you, of course, are going to ask, well, what about modelers and plugins? Why are you so anti-plugins and modelers? I have indeed used plugins in the past. In fact, in 2016, I used Amplitude to record some of my guitar parts for my song called Illumination. And my latest EP, I used Melda's guitar amp plugin to supplement some of the tones that I made with my Mesa Boogie Mark 525. So modelers and plugins are fantastic for recording, and I will probably continue to use them. But no matter how hard I've tried just to listen in the room to my amplifier, I've tried this with modelers and I've tried this with plugins. No matter how much I try to dial and tweak, in the end, nothing, no modeler and no plugin sounds like that. In the end, the rig sounds massive and it's fun to play, and I mean really fun to play. It's so cool just to have access to knobs real quick to change little things about tone in the room you're in. I mean, that is so much fun. I've built a rig that's fun to play through to come up with inspiring and interesting sounds. And in the end, isn't that what it's all about? That we're having fun making music? This video is about my live rig and how I put it together for my needs. This is not a video telling you how to build a live performance rig. Your needs as a player are different than my needs are as a player. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and it was informative. Please comment below. And if you want a video that's more detailed on the actual effects that I'm using and how I'm switching them out using the Switchblade, in other words, a video that's a little more technical and not so general like this one, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to go down the rabbit hole if that's something you guys want to see. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.